I'm just glad that his ex-partners may be able to move forward from this, leaving their abuser where he's always belonged, in the dustbin of YouTube commentary history.
Yeah. Are you tired of me? Yeah.
His song.
Yeah, I'm a little sick right now. But
Me too, Alex. Me too. Damn. You either die commentating or live long enough to be commentated upon. All right. Well, that being said, I do got to finish the ImAllexx video, so may as well get it out of the way. So the last time we talked about ImAllexx, we were really talking about the history of his entire channel, basically, which there was a lot of history, to be clear. But now we're going to be getting into the more, I guess, relatively recent stuff. I feel like the first big mainstream controversy Alex had was the Slazo thing. There was the Zaptai thing before. There was obviously the baited podcast misinformation. There was like stuff people talked about, but I think the Slazo thing was the real first thing where people were like, this guy is kind of sus. This guy's got something going on.
Of many red flags that this story...
Which, for those who don't know, Slazo was essentially called like an abusive boyfriend. He was called a creep and like a by a ton of people. And the evidence for it was that he dated a 14-year-old when he was 16, which obviously doesn't make you a... And then he was also made out to be like a... which was just not the case. There was like one out of context joke that was used to claim that he was... And basically the accusers got absolutely blown out of the water.
...would soon entail. 17 days passed between the release of Che's Twitlonger and Michael's official response on the Slazo channel, and it's safe to say the pressure had sufficiently mounted within those fateful 2.5 weeks of relative silence. The community had waited for what felt like an eternity to hear Michael's side of events, and all eyes were now squarely on him. If he were truly innocent, this was his shot to prove it. He had arguably one chance to make his case to the world, but sure enough, it was extremely well received. Michael was able to vindicate himself of the worst allegations made by Che by providing a...
I remember watching this going down, and I didn't know Slazo at all. I didn't have any contact with him. I think the only time we'd ever interacted, which is not really real interaction, was he had commented on some video I had made where I had been like on him for his content. But essentially, I watched the allegations come out, and I was like, I feel like this might not be all it's cracked up to be. I feel like the evidence here is kind of flimsy. I feel like the accusers are making some serious missteps. And looking back, I mean, not all the accusers were created equal. Like, I don't really give any shade to Weiss looking back, because Weiss was a kid. You know, Weiss has apologized for how he handled this. He ultimately just thought he was supporting a young girl who had been abused in his mind, when in reality she obviously wasn't. But, you know, I don't really put any responsibility on him, because he owned up to it. He, you know, he confessed. He was like, I f***ed up. For someone like King Ani, I probably would still place some responsibility on her, because she has refused to back down from the allegations. And recently she was like, Alex is the reason why these allegations happened the way they did, when after the fact she was like, she was saying like, innocent people don't stay silent for this long, with clown emojis. Like, she clearly was just out for this guy, right? So yeah, I wouldn't describe the same level of responsibility to everyone involved here, right?
Additional evidence to counter what she had claimed. Michael proved that Che had been knowingly cropping images in an effort to hide details and make him look worse. For example, one of the pivotal moments that made Michael out to be a sexual abuser happened at the cinema. And although we don't know what actually went down because it was just between the two of them, Michael was able to provide screenshots that Che had not disclosed that painted the situation in a much different light.
Next, she goes on to describe our first date, where she says, Michael, on our first date, touched me in a cinema, despite me never kissing someone before. I assumed this was normal, although I was uncomfortable by it and let it happen. And now this confused me when I read it at first, because it's not really how it happened. It's true that we did meet on our first date, and we did go to the cinema. That much is true. It was very awkward. We'd only talked online before that. Neither of us really knew what we were doing too well. We went into the cinema, we had our first kiss, our teeth hit each other's, neither of us knew what we were doing.
Did ImAllexx delete his channel? No, I don't think he did. It's still up. You can't find it just because all the search results right now are of all the search results about him right now are going to be about people who hate him. But his channel's still up. Just try sorting on YouTube. Use the filters to sort by channel and you'll find it. It's still there. All the videos are still there. He's around.
I was willing to call it quits there when she pulls my hand down and says to touch her, which is a pretty long way from how she portrays it in her version of the story. In fact, she was actually the one who brought up the entire idea of doing anything in the cinema. I had no reason to believe she wasn't as in on this as I was, so I'm not sure why she made it look like this.
Michael also rejected Che's claim that he had removed her bra and took advantage of her while she was crying, stating he would never do such a thing, and even provided this screenshot of Che implying earlier that her bra coming off was a mistake.
In this next bit of her statement, Che says that I got touchy-feely in a park and I was making unwanted advances while she was crying and asking me to stop, and that I moved her hands to touch myself. But this isn't how it happened. What did happen was this was a very awkward but mutual situation where she describes I moved her hands to touch me. She did that of her own volition, and she even mentions this in Discord messages from after we met up in person. Yeah, I'm not sure why she would lie about that. And the way she talks about what happened at that park is very different from how she says it publicly. She is very much on board with it, with the messages from the time where it actually happened. And the way she talks about it then is very different from the way she talks about it in hindsight.
And looking back at this, I don't know how much responsibility I really place on Che, because she was like a kid even when she made the false allegations, so it's honestly possible that the adults around her were like feeding into her hatred of her ex-boyfriend, which in fairness, he wasn't a great boyfriend. But it's possible they were feeding into it and making her think she needs to make some kind of response because he's like a danger to other people or something. So I don't know how much responsibility or like hatred I would want to send her way now, considering like, you know, she was a kid. I assume she looks back at this and regrets how it went.
I had absolutely no reason to suspect that she didn't want what was happening or that she wasn't on board with it. She even mentions doing other things, and I had no reason to not think that she wasn't as keen as I was. She also mentions me taking off her bra while she's crying. Firstly, I would never do this. If I ever suspected that she didn't want any advance I was making, I would stop. The way she talks about it in the messages from the time gives the impression that I wasn't even intentionally trying to take off her bra, which I wasn't.
He also gave evidence of Che lying about more trivial aspects too. She said in her twitlonger, for example, that Michael had been her first romantic partner, while these screenshots showed a different story. Apparently, she had told Michael that she had been with at least 2 other people before him.
She also mentions later in the post that she's never been in a relationship before. This isn't the impression.
How old was Che when this happened? When the circumstances around the allegations happened, like the actual details, I think she was 14 to 16, but when the allegations were made, I think she was 17, I believe.
That I was under the impression from these screenshots here that she's had at least 2 boyfriends and 1 girlfriend before we ever met. So I'm not sure why she would say this. She states that she had intentions to wait until 16 before doing anything. I never got this impression. She never said this to me. She never implied it. In fact, very early on in a Skype call, she said to me, nobody needs to know, when I asked her if she wanted to wait to do anything. So I'm not sure why she said that and why she thinks that.
For the sake of time, I won't meticulously go through and show you everything Michael revealed, but I have included his original video down below in case you'd like to see for yourself and come to your own conclusion.
When that video dropped, I feel like that was like the first, at least from my memory, the first like false allegation rebuttal that I've seen. And it kind of formed the blueprint for people like White and honestly Pyrocynical to do their responses after the fact, just because of how meticulous it was and how well he dispelled it all, right? Like, I think that this video that he made was kind of the blueprint of how to do the response to allegations.
The general consensus across the internet, though, was that Michael had managed to illustrate a much more nuanced series of events than Che had depicted. This led to people shifting their support away from Che, who they now believed to have manipulated facts and omitted relevant context. However, this didn't mean Michael was a perfect person or boyfriend either, as he admitted in a later interview that he suggested Che change her antidepressants to increase her libido.
I suggested at one point that she go off her antidepressant I suggested she go to another one, but at other points I insinuated that it might be a bad thing that she was on these antidepressants.
Why?
Her sex drive, like she said.
So your intention was to amplify it or to decrease it?
To amplify it.
Yeah.
All right, that's the point against you, I would say.
What do you mean point against you? She's not putting out. Get that bitch off Prozac, okay? She's not putting out. She's not letting you go gorilla. Get that bitch off Prozac, okay? You're trying to get your dick wet. Her mental health, priority, low. You getting your dick wet, extremely high, okay? Extremely based moment. Obviously, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That is an absolutely shitty thing to do. He never tried to defend it, and it's also worth noting that they were both extremely young when these events took place. They were both in high school. While I don't think that absolves Michael of accountability, it is a factor in analyzing behavior in hindsight, I think.
I agree, but I don't think it needed to be made public. Like, it wasn't like a situation where he was like abusing her or he was like treating her so horribly that there could be other victims or there was like a pattern of behavior. It was like when they were in high school, he was horny, he wanted to fuck, he wanted to get off SSRIs because he didn't understand how serious, you know, mental health was, right? Like that's teenage romance is typically very awkward like this. So I wouldn't blame him for that, you know?
I wasn't a good boyfriend, and it ended up being pretty damaging. Again, I'm sorry for that. This was my first real relationship, and I was a massive, inconsiderate, emotionally unavailable.
They need to fix the issues with Prozac stopping your sex drive. Well, if Prozac makes you stop gooning, I think that's ultimately a good thing, no?
Dick. I didn't think about things that I said to Che a lot of the time and how they made her feel, and I'm really sorry about that. I acknowledge it, and I've tried my best to make up for it.
Being a shitty, distant boyfriend, which she had owned up to, is a lot different than being a rapist or predator. Yet these labels were still unjustly thrust upon Michael during the month of June 2019. And although this wasn't helped by the barrage of influencers who rushed to support Che before hearing Michael's story, that's not exactly something I can blame them for. These claims looked really bad when they first came out, and I don't think it's unjust to immediately want to support the person making them. Many people just wanted to be there and provide comfort for someone who they believed had been wronged. A lot of them soon ended up apologizing and retracting their original support, but not everyone.
For those who apologized, and it was pretty clearly a good apology and they felt misled, I do give them some leeway. You know, I don't think they should be shit on to this day in perpetuity. At the time, should they have been shit on because they were spreading false shit? Yes. Are they responsible with the platform they have to tell the truth? Yes. But, you know, I think a lot of these people were misled. They were actually misled, you know? And I think that they thought they were supporting a victim and they thought they were doing the right thing. For Alex and some others, I don't think that was the case. And I think that even if they thought that was the case, they were reveling in his downfall and trying to get him to have his career destroyed over ultimately very flimsy evidence. But for a lot of them, I understand like the argument that, you know, they're not actually evil. And I wouldn't want to punish those people forever. You know what I mean? I think that's fair. Forgiveness. We're exercising forgiveness today.
I want to make a statement because of the fact that obviously I came out and supported Che when she posted her twit longer. And obviously now Michael's video has come out where he's debunked some of the things that were put in there. First of all, I already knew that some of the screenshots...
Why does he say debunked with quotation marks, though? It's so frustrating.
...that were used in Che's twit longer were jokes. I was very much aware of that. But I never had an issue with that, and I want to make that clear. Stupid jokes are stupid.
This was so stupid, though. Being like, I never had an issue with out-of-context screenshots being used to push false allegations on someone. Like, how could you not have an issue with that? That doesn't even make sense. This is such a bad response looking back, bro. I don't know why he posted this.
Stupid jokes. I don't think that's the problem. My problem with Michael was him admitting to doing things that he knew Che may not have wanted to do and being incredibly forceful and almost demanding. I don't believe he's innocent. I don't think he's innocent.
But he didn't admit to that. He admitted to being a bad boyfriend. He didn't admit to forcing her into having sex when she didn't want to. That straight up didn't happen.
Che may not also be innocent and may have hid stuff and used jokes to try and maybe push a certain agenda. But at the same time, the stuff that Michael admitted to is stuff that makes me not want to be friends with somebody who is capable of doing those things.
Alex...
Which is obviously, I mean, looking back. Hindsight's 2020. Looking back, this is such an obvious case of, I don't know if it's projection from the time. I don't know if he was a horrible boyfriend at the time to the women he was with. But looking at how he treated Alice, it's like, dude, just comparing this with how he acted with Alice Hez is so funny. For the love of Allah, do the Charleston. Yeah, just some of my OnlyFans will do it right away. He admitted to being a twat in high school and showed remorse. Anyone who claims to not be a twat in high school is a liar. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, like, if he had been actually, you know, in high school, obviously I would say, like, fuck that guy. But he wasn't. It wasn't anything like that. It was, like, clearly just shitty first relationship stuff that a lot of people do.
Not wanting to associate...
Well, not a lot of people do. In fairness, I've never heard of somebody saying, don't take SSRIs so I can fuck you. But it's like... mild enough that I'm like, whatever, you know, it was a dumb mistake he made as a kid.
Associate with Michael is his own choice at the end of the day, but I and many others were genuinely puzzled when hearing his reasoning. Alex says Michael admitted to manipulating Che in his response video, but if you watch it, he simply doesn't do that. Again, Michael's video is linked below in case you'd like to see for yourself, because unless I'm completely missing something, I have no idea where Alex is getting this, unless he just didn't watch the video, which is what many people had assumed.
The stuff that Michael admitted to is stuff that makes me not want to be friends with somebody who is capable of doing those things, even the things he admitted to.
Based on this response, I genuinely don't believe Alex even watched Slazo's video. He was still painting Slazo as some sort of predator, but if you watch the video, the worst thing Slazo admitted to was probably just not being emotionally present during the relationship, and as an awkward teenage couple, it's pretty understandable.
Apart from implying he had some
True.
sort of secret information on Michael because he knew him personally.
When he says controlling of a 14-year-old too, like, when you hear that, you're thinking that the guy who's being controlling of a 14-year-old is like 25, but he was 16. He was her age. So when he says controlling of a 14-year-old, it's like, this is not really a fair tweet to make. You're implying he's a... Tommy, if you're so based, why didn't you only baste you? I might. You never know. Get over here, big guy.
Which is an incredibly irresponsible thing to say publicly in and of itself. It turns out Alex was going around telling people in private that Michael was some sort of monster, and that even...
Yeah, I remember this. This is one of the chat leaks. It's not like he isn't some fucking monster. Like, they're actively choosing to protect Slazo, who will be done for it eventually. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but he will. Like, he was plotting on his downfall.
if he didn't get
his own friend, too. He knew Slazo. He lived with him for a little bit.
exposed now, his fall was coming. But after 5 years, we still have yet to see anyone else come forward. Though Alex did allege to a few people in private, including Nicholas DiOrio, that Michael had apparently been completely sober at a club once and tried to take advantage of a girl who was blackout drunk. When DiOrio confronted Michael with this claim, he had this to say.
Alex claims that you had been rough and forceful with a girl while staying with him. He claimed you were completely sober and forcefully getting this woman drunk. Allegedly, Alex had to step in and remove...
But if Alex saw that happening, why wouldn't he just out him for it at the time, right? If I saw someone sexually a girl in public, someone that I knew, I'd be like, fuck you, what the fuck's wrong with you? If I saw him being forceful with a girl, I'd be like, what the fuck, get the fuck out of here. But he didn't even do that at the time. He waited on it until much later when these allegations came out and it was convenient for him to talk about it.
...the girl from the situation as you begun kissing and sent her home in an Uber. Alex also claimed he told you, we don't do that shit around here, man, and bullied you for the next few days.
Yeah, this was really confusing to hear.
If I was there, I would have stopped it. I mean, I don't know that I would have stopped it necessarily. I would like to think I would. But at the very least, I wouldn't want to be around that guy, you know? At the very, very least. If you see a guy that you know clearly sexually assaulting a girl like close to you, like next to you, like I would probably try to stop that. I'd be like, don't do that. What's wrong with you? It's not like a hero complex. It's just like, you know, if you see that happening, you probably should be like, I'm gonna stop that, you know?
Yeah, honestly, this is a complete embellishment of what happened. Alex, Memeless, like that whole group, and some people I only met that night, including this girl, who I won't name. We're going to a club, and as you do when you're at a club, we got wasted. I was drunk as well. I don't know why Alex thought I wasn't drunk. We at certain points even drunk from the same jug of Long Island iced tea. So like, I don't know how he got that impression, but I was pretty drunk as well. Like, he was tweeting about how I apparently accidentally put my nose in his eye, which is a tweet he's since deleted, so I wasn't sober. Anyway, this girl and I, at one point, we're both next to each other, both pretty fucking drunk, and we make out. Yeah, at some points, you know, the people I'm with are posing for pictures in front of us, you know. Memeless tweeted, is Slazo, Slazo, Slazo at one point. It wasn't nearly the way Alex describes it, I suppose. Like, she was giving me hickeys and shit. Like, there are pictures they took pictures of the hickeys on my neck, took the piss out of me for it.
So they were making fun of you about getting hickeys, about hooking up with a girl. They weren't at any point bullying you, saying you were being too forceful with her.
No, not at all.
Apparently, if something untoward was going on that night, no one seemed to have a problem with it as it was happening, including Alex. It seemed more like Alex had just completely embellished or made up something that had happened after the fact, once again trying to paint Michael in a light that didn't seem to withstand proper scrutiny.
Why did he even think he would get away with this too? Like, surely he would have known that the other people around would like not be cool with him saying that. Although in fairness, they actually were fine with it. I think that Memeless continued to collaborate with ImAllexx even after this happened, and same with iNabber, although I don't think he was there. But a lot of people collab with Alex after, so I guess actually he probably thought he could get away with it because his friends would never call him out for it. He thought that he was famous enough that they would benefit more from collaborating with him than they would from doing the morally righteous thing, which is to shit on him and be like, fuck you.
Trust me, there is a lot more minutia we could dig into here, but because Slazo isn't our main focus today, I've linked several videos down below that do go more in depth on the whole saga. In a nutshell, the consensus at the time was that Che was no longer a credible source after Michael provided sufficient evidence of her twisting conversations and lying about key details that didn't make sense to lie about. These revelations gave Michael the perfect opportunity to create a response that appeared to genuinely fill in those gaps, where he both defended himself against the worst lies and took accountability in other areas. Despite Alex and a few others holding out for the longest time only to apologize in the end after Alex had spread further lies, might I add, this apology, many considered too little too late, was barely even an apology since Alex never once uttered the words "I'm sorry."
Definitely what I found is that people do not like this kind of statement. If you apologize and you're a YouTuber, people want a video. Unless it's something that's super, super fucking minor, you need to be making a video response where you are like candid in it and seem honest and actually respond. Like the reason why, like Frogan, for example, her apology about like military members going through PTSD, the reason why it comes across as so fake is not only because she doubled down 5 times, also because instead of like making an actual response where she talks about it, she just posts like a PR statement, right? Versus Asmongold, for his comment, people bought his apology more because, I mean, first of all, he's a more honest person in general. But secondly, because his response seems a lot more candid. He did a 20-minute video where he talked about every time he fucked up. He said he didn't, want anyone to feel bad for him. He talked about how he was becoming more psychopathic and it was all his fault, how he wanted to change as a person. Like, obviously, it's a much more sincere way to go about this kind of thing.
He never actually says the words, "I'm sorry." And this made a lot of people upset. Seems like he just hates Slazo. Weak apology overall, though. Not a great apology. Very bad. Very bad apology. See, the thing about apologizing is you have to mean it. You gotta actually mean it. You can't just say things diplomatically. You have to mean it for people to want to accept it as actual truth.
Or at least seem like you mean it. If you're the master manipulator, at least make it seem compelling like you actually mean it. Alex was too busy. He was too lazy to fucking fire up OBS and record like a 20-minute video where he talked about how bad he felt. All he could muster was a Twitter statement.
Michael had largely exonerated himself as far as the vast majority of viewers were concerned. He started gaining subs again and tried getting back into commentary, but sadly, his heart just wasn't in it anymore. As he said in a subsequent video, the controversy of June 2019 kind of took the wind out of his sails a little bit.
I saw this one comment on it that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's talking about like, oh, ImAllexx completely ruined Slazo's life. And I read that and I was like, nah, like, if I go out, I want people to know it's because I chose to, not because someone else ruined me. So that's mainly why I'm here today. I'm sure you can imagine all, the thing you love about YouTube kind of turning on you and the community, thinking that you did this horrible thing that you did. It kind of takes the wind out of the sails, not gonna lie, so I didn't really want to make videos anymore.
Michael didn't disappear from the internet entirely though. Instead, he directed his attention toward a second channel by the name of MK, which ended up exploding in popularity that same summer. As of today, it sits at over 3 million subscribers and 2.6 billion views. Michael didn't exactly lose in the end, but it wasn't for a lack of trying on Alex's part. The Slazo debacle would serve.
That Reddit channel fucking prints money, I'm sure, dude. MK, that channel, 3 million subscribers, which, like, the views aren't great on it anymore. Like, they're posting, like, twice a day, getting, like, 20K views, 44K views. Like, they're not amazing right now. But a lot of the viewership is based off the backlog, and a lot of the backlog, like 9 million views 2 years ago, 8 million views 2 years ago, which is years after the allegations. Like, clearly this channel has fucking printed money for years, so good for him. This is the way to do it, dude. Get another channel going. Insulate yourself from the cancer.
As a defining hallmark of the
How did I know MK was Slazo? Well, he doesn't narrate them. I think he hired someone to run it, but he still, I think, collects money from it, if I had to guess.
ImAllexx lore and would greatly damage his reputation to many of those who had been paying especially close attention. The Baited podcast held a reunion episode for the first time in a year, where hosts Keemstar, Tommy C, and Colossal is Crazy set their differences aside and took turns expressing their shared disdain for Alex, even if this devolved into a shouting match about paychecks.
That you weren't including the 3%. The extra 3%. It's not this 3%, it's just an extra $5,000. That 3% is an extra $5
You were
grand.
presenting it as an
No,
extra
I was.
$5 grand a year, not an extra 3%.
I disagree. I was pouring all the fucking views into this thing, and you were trying to rob me, which is something you still haven't apologized to this day.
Oh, I don't think I'm going to. I didn't do anything wrong, did I?
What?
Despite heavy criticism and countless videos analyzing his role in painting Michael as something the evidence suggested he wasn't, Alex still went on to have a pretty prosperous next few years on YouTube. He would continue down a path of stardom accompanied by a tighter circle of friends, making regular appearances on their respective channels and launching a number of short-lived podcasts, with one of his more prominent ventures garnering a significant...
He also pivoted, though, in a very calculated move. Because ImAllexx used to appeal to, like, the quote-unquote commentary community that was, like, influenced by, I guess, like, iDubbbz and Leafy and all those people. Like he was kind of in the edgier side of things, right? Like, I was watching early ImAllexx videos. I like them. But he intentionally kind of pivoted to a different group of people. And the audience he began pandering to was, I would say, like, teenage girls who are British and, like, non-binary people who are also British and on Twitter, like, K-pop stands, like... He also, like, came out, like, 5 different times. He was like, I'm gay 5 different times, which is ultimately also part of that pivot, you know? He pandered into, like, the gay commentary community, I would say. The LGBT commentary community, which is real. So yes, exactly. Exactly, bro. Literally.
significant amount of controversy in its own right.
What was that whole beef about? Because there was, like, they were saying that you kicked him out and he wanted to be in, and, like,
Yes.
like I've had bits and bobs from each of you independently, but just, like, set the record straight.
Debuting April 10th, 2020, the Eboys podcast featured a roster of well-known British influencers. Will Inney, Memulus, James Marriott, and of course, ImAllexx, who claimed to be the one to come up with the idea a year prior. However, speculation quickly arose that fellow commentator iNabber had originally been slated as the 5th host, but was pushed out again.
Even doing a podcast with him just seems like such a bad idea in hindsight, you know? I mean, obviously they didn't know what was going on with Alice herself, but to me, like, I don't know, he already had the false allegations, like, huge drama on YouTube, you know? I don't see why they would have wanted to associate with him on some, like... Actually, you know what? I see why, because their audience just didn't care. Their audience didn't give a shit. Their audience probably were like, base, Slazo's evil, or they just didn't know who he was, you know?
Against his will. He would soon expand on this in an on-stream rant.
You've created a group channel without the 5th member. That's it.
Oh, I remember that.
It's just pretty simple. Imagine your group of friends went out without you. You would just be a bit sad, wouldn't you? I think the only deep thing I've said is I came up with the name, which I firmly believe I did. I didn't like the name. It was ironic, but I came up with it, seeing as I made that channel like 2 months ago.
He revealed the name of the show was his idea in the first place, and that they had not told him it was going to happen. He also says this is not the first time he's been excluded by the group, and that it hurt, wondering aloud why it wasn't mentioned during a call they had a few hours prior.
There was another time where a group channel was being created and I wasn't told about it, so this is the second time, so I think this is another reason why it hurts. I probably shouldn't have said that, but if I knew about this, Alex, why would you not bring it up onto me when we called 6 hours ago?
Though he later said in the Twitter thread that it was all just a big miscommunication, and that after speaking with the group, turns out he hadn't been snaked at all, which is all well and good as long as everyone is happy. But to some, this
No, you got snaked, bro. I mean, you know, I don't hate them for it. You know, they're not my friends. They're not my friend, but you definitely got snaked a little bit, bruh. You definitely did. I think there's no doubt about it.
Just reinforced the idea that Alex was a snake. I know Alex's reasoning for excluding iNabber didn't make a ton of sense to me at the time. Alex says Fraser wasn't involved because he had slept through the first recording, but the show lasted a full year.
What's your favorite lizard? Probably the Komodo dragon. Those are pretty cool. I like the big lizards. Those are sick. I like big lizards. Small lizards like geckos, not so much. People think they're cute. They're cool. No, they're actually like slimy. They're snakes with legs. They slither around. They're weird. Komodo dragon, though, based.
Year after that, was he just sleeping through every single recording? Or were there other reasons you didn't include him? I don't know. Not a big deal now, since there's no chance in hell of the show ever coming back together, I guess. Over time, it looked like the group had begun to splinter. Alex wasn't
I'll never understand why people publicize themselves getting rejected. Yeah, I don't really know either. I mean, I guess it's just being hurt and wanting someone to fucking back you up, you know? Being hurt and wanting someone to feel your pain and empathize with you, so you signal your audience about it. But generally, I think it's probably not a good idea to publicize behind-the-scenes drama, you know? With few exceptions.
collaborating with Will and E and James Marriott the way he used to. Part of that, I'm sure, had to have been chalked up to Marriott getting more into music, but it definitely appeared Alex had shifted friend groups a bit from 2022 to 2023. His two channels started to churn out more schlock than ever before, and that was really saying something. On his second channel, Alex developed a habit for using the same exact face for every thumbnail. Literally, I mean, it's all the same.
Hey, for anyone saying that I do the same thing, that is not the case, okay? Go to the Tom Dark Live channel. I have multiple faces, okay? Look at this. We got that face, we got that face, we got that face. Okay, this may be the same one, but then new face, new face, new face, new face. Look, I've got a lot of faces, all right? I've got a lot of different faces I use for these videos, so I don't ever want to hear that I personally am not, providing enough reaction faces. I provide a lot, okay? Clearly.
Same PNG of this
a lot
face,
of range,
which I think is what Shane Dawson used to do. If you were to click on any of these videos, you may notice that Alex had begun using a blatantly obvious blue filter to make his eyes pop more, but it was done so poorly it just looked ridiculous and clearly artificial. If such a thing were possible,
like
Alex seemed to be putting even less effort into his videos. And trust me, this wasn't lost on some of his more ardent critics.
The filter is so strong, and he hasn't set it up properly, that his teeth are turning fucking blue. All right, he's done it for the eyes, but it's his fucking teeth now that are turning blue. Like he's just eaten a fucking urinal cake or something.
But by 2024, Alex...
Why did he do that, though? Because, like, his audience would think he's cuter? Is that why? So the girls in his audience would be like, OMG, I love a boy with blue eyes. They're blue like the sea. Base, dude.
His hemorrhaging channel and faltering reputation would suffer yet another severe blow. One that friends, enemies, and remaining fans alike would all deem near impossible to recover from. On the morning of June 15th, the American commentary community woke up to this post from Alice Hez, former girlfriend of ImAllexx. In a tweet that has now garnered almost 8 million impressions, Alice officially published the story she had once been too afraid to speak on. Unable to stand the miserable thought of another woman enduring what she had been through, Alice decided to alert the public of her ex-partner's criminal behavior.
And this was crazy, to be clear. I saw a lot of people being like not surprised at all. I was still surprised. I don't know, maybe I'm naive. I thought that Alex was like, but I didn't think he would ever be hitting a girl. Or like threatening to kill her in the DMs, right? I never expected that. I'll bash your head in with a brick. I did not expect that whatsoever. I didn't think he had it in him. I didn't think he had that level of viciousness in him.
At the bottom of her tweet was a link to a Google Drive folder containing several screen recordings of private Discord calls, text messages, and a 25-minute audio file. This massive trove of evidence also contained a written statement spanning a jaw-dropping 82 pages, most of which feature even more screenshots of conversations tied together with further context and background information provided by Alice. We will be sifting through the contents of this document here as chronologically and as thoroughly as possible, but in the spirit of keeping the duration of this video somewhat under control, I'm afraid we won't be able to explore every last detail today, which is why I have linked the drive folder down below and would highly encourage you examine everything yourself in full. It's a lot, but it's also very necessary for establishing a clear picture of what this relationship looked like as told by Alice. In her words, she was threatened by Alex not to come out with anything at all and to keep quiet, or else he'd conjure up his own conflicting story to discredit her. But Alice isn't threatened. She wants us to hear this story from the very beginning. So that's precisely where we'll start, the beginning. And as she clarifies in the top line of her document, there is going to be a trigger warning here for mention of SA, depression, and assault.
Trigger warning.
Acceptable behavior, like in any way, shape, or form.
Everyone's making ImAllexx videos. We're not getting a Tom version anytime soon. I was literally working on a script for one recently, and then this video came out, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll do this video in like a year or two or something. But yeah, I'm not really jumping on it right now just because everybody's already covered it. I might do it still eventually, but you know, right now, just given that so many people have already covered it, it's already so overdone. There's not much I could add right now. I'll probably refrain for a little bit. Wore my Stop Gooning hats when we were young. People loved it. Even ran into a dude sub too. He said he had the same. I wish I had seen you there because I was there. That's base though. It is a sick hat. Shout out, bro.
It was insane. I felt like I could do no wrong.
Alice and Alex became official in March 2023, after going out a few months and knowing each other for a few years before that. According to Alice, the beginning of their relationship went pretty much how you'd expect a normal relationship to go, devoting 100% of their time to each other. But that brief period of happiness would soon phase out, as little disagreements here and there began to spiral out of control into huge issues, as Alice noted that many of their arguments took place at first over Discord.
The question for me is, like, if this relationship is so late into his life, like he's in his mid to late 20s by now, if this relationship happened pretty recently in the last year, has he had other relationships like this that people just haven't come out about? I assume if there were, they probably would have said something already, but like his behavior towards her was just so insane and so recent. Like, it wouldn't be surprising to me if there were other girls he treated the same way, because he seems like a really nuts person.
Since the two of them weren't living together yet. Alice, working from home, was expected to always make herself available for her new boyfriend whenever he wanted to call. She accommodated Alex in this way by neglecting her work and even inviting him to join her friend groups. But that wasn't enough for Alex, who had a tendency to escalate small arguments into much larger, vicious confrontations, which you'll soon see resembled full-on abuse. First verbal, then physical. The plethora of messages Alice includes here in this document really speak for themselves. It doesn't take long to notice a pattern of controlling and degrading language from
You fucking retard, you knew!
Alex. Right from the start, he's already insulting Alice's intelligence, attacking the way she presents herself over text.
You text like a retard, so call me. You say everything wrong on text. I'll stop then. Because you're fucking stupid, so call me. Nope, I'm not.
With, you say everything wrong on text. Because
why does Alex look like that? British, unfortunately.
You're fucking stupid, so call me. She protests, but he doubles down. You clearly are. When she's had
You clearly are. Bye. Fuck you, weird fucking idiot. You win. Fuck you. He's so mad.
enough, Alex hits her with fuck you, you weird fucking idiot.
He is charming, that's true.
Fuck you. She didn't call him, of course, because he was obviously insulting her. But that didn't register for Alex, who instead persists with fuck you. He repeats like a stubborn kid needing proper discipline, even though she's the one with the quote literacy of a child, according to him. It's pathetic on his part, but these fits weren't uncommon. In fact, unfortunately, they only got worse as the relationship progressed.
You know what? I actually kind of want to just go through the document here because it is really funny. Alice's Google Drive. Yeah, here we go. The dog one. Here, let's see the dog one. The dog clip.
Thing about you, and this is the thing, and this is why I fucking go round and round in circles. I join call, and when I'm getting, you're talking to me, going, this is the thing, even though...
With the 4K fucking camera on for this one, his YouTube setup is ready to go sicko mode. Let's see this one.
Sorry,
this is a good one. Classic Kino.
You always take the fucking weird route. Just do the normal route, which is just do the normal route, but a normal girlfriend.
You're acting like this is all just me, and that's something you really need to fucking fix.
I'm gonna fucking bash your fucking head against the wall with a brick if you don't shut the. Because this one
with his cute little E-boy shirt.
Genuinely, this one, you.
So crazy, bro. He's fucking nuts. I mean, I don't think we need to retread everything from the allegations. I think most of you probably remember, but it is kind of nuts. I'm curious to see what King Ani had to say, or more accurately, what Jay Aubrey had to say about King Ani.
In the wake of Alice's claims, Alex was subsequently hit with further allegations by fellow commentary YouTuber and another one of his ex-girlfriends, King Annie. Publishing a 2-page document of her own on June 17th, Annie reveals she dated Alex privately from June 2017 to March 2018, describing it as the most toxic relationship she had ever been in, and citing that she was thankful to get out when she did. The timing here is especially significant to me, seeing that the events she described took place almost 5 years before Alex began abusing Alice, underlying a terrifying pattern of behavior that spanned multiple years, and it also meant he was going after Onision for being an abuser while also being one himself. This is an actual screenshot from a video he dropped at the exact same time he was allegedly manipulating and threatening his own partner. Annie testified that during the relationship, he made me feel insane, like I wasn't my...
The thing is, he probably did. I don't believe her explanation that she later gave for like the reason why she pushed the Slazo allegations is because he manipulated her into doing it. I just straight up don't believe that, because she publicly was very heavily going after Slazo. She was posting tweets with clown emojis. There was this one really infamous one where she was like, innocent people don't stay silent for this long, which is like one of the most poorly aged tweets of all time. And even after that fact, after Slazo's response, she continued to defend Shay and shit on Slazo, right? So like, you know, Was Alex a shitty boyfriend to her? Probably yes, but I still, I don't really like her.
Myself anymore. It never felt like he listened to me. I always felt belittled and inferior. Whenever we recorded videos together, he would constantly talk over me and never let me have my moment. Unsurprisingly, Alex's delusional sense of grandeur reared its ugly head here as well. As Annie claims, he would constantly complain about how hard YouTube was, as if it was the hardest job on the planet, and that no one had it harder than him. His classic line was, "I can't catch a break." I just want to remind you once again that Alex's videos at the time consisted of the emoji movie.
Imagine being homeless, dude. Imagine being homeless. You guys just fucking deserve it. If you're broke, you deserve it, okay? You should be making the Emoji Movie trailer video by ImAllexx. This is what you should be doing. If you're not doing what he's doing, you're a fucking peasant loser, all right? You guys all know it. If you don't have a house, you just get one.
Movie trailer and strip Mario Kart. I don't even want to know what that one's about. Annie also went so far as to specifically cite the Slazo situation as an example of how Alex would manipulate those around him and twist the narrative however he pleased. She said he went out of his way to insert himself in even the tiniest drama, even when it had nothing to do with him. While she points out that Shay never made any allegations of herself, she says Alex somehow came to that conclusion on his own and that everyone else got the blame for saying his words. Somehow the situation—
Well, she may not have used the word, but like it was very clearly implied by saying he like forced me to do sexual things I didn't want to do. Like what if that's not, what is it? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
situation went from Slazo being guilty of being a bad boyfriend to him being a rapist. This
Well, why didn't you call it Alex for that at the time? Then why didn't you express some disagreement if you didn't like what he was saying?
was the final nail in the coffin, she says. I cut all contact with him after that. Annie also brings up another since-deleted video from Alex's channel that I actually remember watching all the way back in 2018. It was titled Back to Nothing and featured him being more emotional than I had ever seen him before. While the exact reason he made this video was unclear at the time, Annie provides some further context, that this was released in response to her breaking up with him. She says this video was a way for him to guilt his newly ex-partner into replying to him.
That's probably true.
She makes a comparison between his treatment of her and his treatment of Alice, that after he would scream and fly off the handle, he'd quickly snap back into apology mode, acting all sad and down so she would forgive him. It's part of the hazardous cycle that Annie and Alice knew all too well. She then goes on to recall one specific instance where the two were recording a video together. According to Annie, Alex was growing more and more frustrated that they had to keep restarting, pounding his fist on the table in a moment of outrage to the point that he even broke the microphone. Annie was understandably—
He broke a microphone over a video recording. He's schizo, man. He's an absolute fucking schizo. Damn. I'm curious what Jay Aubrey's conclusion is going to be here.
At the time of me writing this script, in the middle of September 2024, a grand total of 93 days have passed since Alice first published her allegations against ImAllexx. By the time you watch this video, it'll be well over 100 days since we last heard from Alex publicly. As if the testimony of several women, along with a mammoth pile of evidence complete with screenshots, videos, and audio recordings didn't implicate him enough, the radio silence Alex has exhibited over this exhausted span of 3 months hasn't exactly been the best indicator of his innocence. A cursory glance at the man's social blade is a clear reflection of this. The people—
I mean, the thing is, I think the only thing he could do now to fire back would be to make Alice look just as crazy as him. And maybe that would help him a little bit, but I think that his audience that actually watches him wouldn't forgive him either way, because they would just say, well, she's a woman, so whatever, right? I don't think that, I don't really think that anything he could say at this point would save his reputation. I think it's pretty much over.
Have largely made up their minds, and it seems Alex has allowed them to do so. But could he still make a comeback? Well, being the self-described internet sensation that he is, I can't imagine he's taking this blow to his reputation lightly. And I wouldn't put it past him to eventually return in some capacity later on down the line. Whether that means he's waiting for the heat to die down before he tries to revamp his career mini-lad style, or he plans to quietly slither back into the limelight on a separate channel under a completely new identity, I wouldn't put anything past a snake like Alex. According to those I've spoken to who know him personally, Alex is someone with little interest in anything that doesn't provide him the instant gratification that YouTube always offered. Whatever skills or passions he may possess have always been confined to the most derivative slop the algorithm favors, which is to say, I have no idea where he goes from here. A few months after everything was made public, public, Alice stated on Twitter that the police investigation had finally concluded and that she is now technically allowed to release even more evidence of her claims. When I reached out to Alice for further comments, she had this to say. I mentioned in my statement I wouldn't be releasing anything until he ever responded and tried to avoid accountability or twist the narrative to get out of what he's done to me. Because that's what he's threatened he would do, and realistically, I think there's enough evidence out there for everyone to know and understand how he was to me and as a person. As far as the police investigation goes, it's been dropped. Police don't do anything about situations like this. They never have, unless I took this to court or he contacted me again. But he has been put down in the system, so anyone who knows how Claire's Law works can use this information to stay safe from him, aka new girlfriends, etc., can request information on any previous abusive reports on him, thank God, and those were my intentions in the first place.
I wonder what he is doing right now. Like, what is he... I wonder what he's actually doing. Is he just living on a farm somewhere, chilling out? Bless you, thank you. What is he actually up to? Because I can't imagine him doing anything with his time outside of, like, making YouTube videos, because that's all he's done for years. I think that's, like, all he has, so... What could he possibly be doing? You know what I mean? Like, what could he possibly be spending his time on? Just flicker gooning all day? Depression? Maybe, but if he is depressed, it's not because he thinks he did anything wrong. It's that he feels bad for losing his YouTube career.
To save anyone who gets involved with him ever again, because going by this all, he was to every girlfriend he ever had. It just so happens I got the worst of it. Physical and the emotional abuse and manipulation was by far worse. Well, I couldn't imagine what he would do to the next one because he actively...
What if he comes back jacked? I can't imagine that, but if he does, I think I would forgive him for sure. If he came back, because he's like short, if he came back and he was like fucking Mike Israetel, if he was bald and just super jacked, he was like, I'm sorry for what I did. I'm dedicating my life to getting jacked now. I'd be like, based. I'd be like, I forgive you now.
He avoids getting any help or believing he is dangerous. It's hard to deny that Alice has already produced enough mountains of receipts that would make it incredibly hard for Alex to twist the narrative in a different direction if he ever does choose to respond. His toxic narcissism knows no bounds, and even now I'd be willing to bet he still isn't sorry for what he did to any of his partners. If anything, he's probably only sorry to see his legacy end in such utter catastrophe and shame. I just hope he knows he has no one else to blame but himself. This is a fate he's chosen for himself, making it hard for me to feel even a fraction of remorse for his monstrous behavior. I'm just glad that his ex-partners may be able to move forward from this, leaving their abuser where he's always belonged, in the dustbin of YouTube commentary history.
Yeah. Are you tired of me? Yeah.
His song.
Yeah, I'm a little sick right now.
Me too, Alex. Me too. Damn. You either die commentating or live long enough to be commentated upon. Keemstar's ability to insert himself into every facet of YouTube drama needs to be studied because he's a millionaire before he even started Drama Alert. Yeah, he just loves it. He loves the drama. I think that's clear. It should be interesting to see if Alex ever comes back. I remember what Brad Does Banter. He made the claim recently that Alex was like being fielded for a boxing match or something. I don't know if that was true. People speculated it was Creator Clash, but I don't think that iDubbbz would ever get him on Creator Clash, to be honest with you. If he was in Creator Clash, I think that would be really funny to see him get the shit beaten out of him. If he's in Creator Clash, I think a girl has to fight him and own him, like a super jack girl, but I don't think that that's going to happen, to be honest, man. I highly doubt we're going to see that anytime soon. So, yeah, I think that's about it for ImAllexx. That probably is the nail in the coffin, you know. Maybe I'll do a video about him in a couple years if other stuff comes out, or if the stuff has died down, people don't really remember what happened, and it'd be a good time to retread it. But yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen if I had to guess. I hate the fake raspy Eboy shit so much that I've inadvertently made my voice so much gayer whenever I talk online. Well, Alex ultimately was trying to pander to a certain kind of audience, right? And that is a kind of audience that can benefit you in the short term, but it usually ends up biting you in the ass if they eat you alive eventually. Ultimately, for Alex, it's not like he got eaten alive by them, though. I mean, he did, but it was like justified, you know. It was kind of a based moment ultimately. Is that going to happen? Clash? I mean, iDubbbz and Anissa said they were doing a podcast where they would, they were on a podcast saying they were like figuring out the next Creator Clash and they wanted to do it. So I think it probably will happen at some point. Is he still uploading? I saw his latest video. Yeah, the bad unboxing. It was fine. It wasn't like the best thing ever, but it was kind of a nice return to form. His latest two videos have done a lot better than his past stuff, which is interesting. So I'm curious to see if he'll have a little bit of a return arc. You know, if his content becomes good again, I say support him. I love him again. I'll watch it. That's all I can really say. Thought they lost money. Oh, they did. They lost a lot of money. So it's surprising to me they're even doing another one, or that anybody would agree to work with them. But they did lose money. They lost $250,000, and not a single dollar went to charity from that. And then I think they had to, they did like a live stream fundraiser afterwards where I think they got some of the money donated to charity. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't donate a single cent to charity on the initial thing, from my knowledge. I would love to know more about the jar stuff, but I just can't watch the hours of public humiliation rituals of Chud Logic. Yeah, I think next stream I'll probably watch the Just a Robot Freak files. I've been kind of putting it off just because the first time I watched it, I wasn't that pulled in by the content, but I will be streaming again in not that long, so you could expect that I'll be taking a look at that. My plan is to stream tomorrow. I have a lot of other shit to do first, but my plan is to stream tomorrow. There's also a secret sussy game. It's not really sussy. It's funny, though, that I'm planning to stream tomorrow at the end of my whole swag. But tomorrow I have to fucking work out, have to mow the lawn. I have to do a bunch of stuff for all the channels, like record videos and stuff like that. But the plan after all of that is done is to hopefully get a stream in so the frequent stream viewers know what's happening. So I'm leaving. I'm going to be gone the 5th and the 6th, but I'll get back on the 6th. So probably I think the 7th and 8th I'll be streaming. From the 9th to 11th, I got to go do a little trip, go to a personal thing, and then I'll be back. And then from the 14th to 18th, I have to go to Texas to film stuff with some fellow content creators. So then after that, I think that's the end of my travel. So past the 18th this month, I should be streaming a lot more frequently, but it's going to be like somewhat infrequent. It's going to be like when I'm home, I'll stream every day and then I'm gone. So home stream every day, then I'm gone. With that being said, though, I do got to get off this stream, but if you like the content, be sure to check out all the channels. Turkey Tom for video essays, new video coming out soon for that channel. There's someone that's taking a while to help me get it done, but it is coming. The Tom Dark channel also. Good place to look for daily content. These videos have been good lately. You guys will like it. This Rizzler video, dude. This is the content you need to be watching. If you're not watching it, there's something wrong with you, frankly. So there's that. There's also, obviously, the live channel. And if you want to watch the streams after they're public, become a member here. And you'll be able to watch the full VODs in full. So, yeah. Is this the longest stream we've done? No. The longest one I've done in a little while, but I used to do like 8, 9, 10-hour streams. I think I did one that was 11 or 12 hours back in the day, so no, it's definitely not. But yeah, check out all the channels. Thanks for watching. Be safe. Don't do drugs. Have a good night. Bye-bye.